New anime just dropped. Like, subscribe, and enjoy.
I practice my fireball millions of times every day, but I can't even light a mosquito coil. The mosquitoes in my house mock me for being so weak. My classmates also call me the weakest mage in history. But they don't know I suddenly awakened the SSS-Rank talent, God's Thorns. I can gain 1 skill point every single second. Others only get single-digit skill points in a dungeon, but I get 1 for free every second. As a result, any basic spell in my hands can ascend to a devastating ultimate class spell. Originally, a joke had always held me back during the awakening ceremony. But then a rare spirit mind master awakened, gaining advanced mind manipulation skills. While I only awakened as a common mage, I got the basic fireball skill. Just as everyone was laughing at me, another voice suddenly entered my mind. Congratulations, you have awakened the SSS-Rank talent, God's Thorns, gaining 1 skill point every second. As the level and strength of this talent increase, more gains and functions will gradually unlock. In this moment, my entire body is in a total stupor. I silently did the math in my head. I don't need to run any dungeons or quests. Just by waiting for 1 day, I can obtain 86,400 skill points. This means that after getting a new skill, I only need a single day. I can upgrade it to the highest rank or even max it out completely. Meanwhile, the crowd below is gossiping incessantly. The top student in the grade ended up with just an ordinary class. I love watching a genius fall from grace like this. Looking at him, he definitely can't handle the blow and will fade into the crowd. Even the class clown, Jack, showed a hint of regret, which actually surprised me. They think I'm depressed, but they can't see how excited I am. In this moment, I decide, I need to get out of here immediately, otherwise, I'm afraid I'll burst out laughing. A crazy idea popped into my head. Upgrade Fireball to an ultimate spell first, then talk. Because in 1 month, the city will hold the annual national exam for professionals. For the next 7 days, I stayed home the entire time without going anywhere. Looking at my balance of over 600,000 skill points, I couldn't help but take a deep breath. Then I opened the Fireball skill panel and started adding points frantically. The Fireball icon on the panel flashed constantly with the glow of each upgrade. I consumed 100,000 skill points to advance and obtain the new spell, Celestial Firestorm. My original, mediocre Fireball has advanced to the 7th rank. In an instant, a wave of scorching heat swept through my entire body. Then I checked the requirements for the next rank. 8th rank, Incarnation of the Fire Spirit. The advancement cost is 500,000 skill points. It actually shocked me. The skill points required for future promotions are astronomical. I reflected for a moment. I turned my attention to my other 2 skills, Efficient Casting and Rapid Concealment. My newly acquired 7th rank spell, Celestial Eye Dragon Concealment, lasts for 20 seconds. The cooldown is a full 2 hours, and every time I cast it, it consumes 30,000 mana points. Right now, my mana limit is only 100 points. I can't even use such high-level skills. I shifted my skill points over to Efficient Casting. Another round of frantic point spending has begun. The ding, ding, ding sounds echo incessantly. I consumed 100,000 skill points. I obtained a new passive skill, Mana Storm. Effect 1. The mana consumption of all spells cast is reduced by 70%. Effect 2. It increases the mana limit from all sources 7-fold and recovers 7% of max mana per second. Effect 3. Every 8 hours, I get 1 free chance to cast any spell below the 9th rank. I continued, turning my gaze toward the last passive skill, Rapid Chanting. Another 100,000 skill points were consumed. I obtained a new passive skill, Eternal Divine Grace. Effect 1. When casting spells below the 5th rank, the spell becomes an instant cast. Chanting time for spells above the 5th rank is reduced by 70%. Effect 2. My chanting cannot be interrupted by any skill below the 7th rank. Effect 3. Every 8 hours, I have 1 chance to instantly cast any spell below the 9th rank. Here it comes, instant spell casting. A 10% chance of no consumption plus instant casting. This skill combination makes my blood boil. I left home and bought plenty of food and water. Once everything was ready, I headed to the outskirts. I bypassed the popular low-level training area, the Gentle Breeze grasslands, and reached a higher-level area, the Forest of Lament. The monsters in the forest are usually level 9 or higher and extremely savage. They attack on sight. Suddenly, a decaying sound came from right above me. I turned and saw a giant python staring me down. The next second, it opened its bloody maw and lunged to bite me. I thought to myself, preparing a skill to kill it instantly. But at this critical moment, an incredibly familiar voice came from behind. In an instant, a fireball suddenly struck the python's head. The python felt the pain, and its hatred transferred instantly. It locked onto the target and lunged fiercely toward the direction of the attack. However, another, even larger fireball struck suddenly. With a loud crash, the giant python was completely charred. The massive body writhed for a moment and then died completely. That was when I saw the source of those 2 fireballs from before. It was a student-looking young man, accompanied by a middle-aged mage in robes. At that moment, the young man looked at me with an amused expression. "How did I do just now, master?" he asked, his voice full of pride. "Your fireball spell was very precise," the older man replied. If you practice diligently, you'll soon be able to navigate this forest of lament with ease. In my opinion, however, without the help of that middle-aged mage in robes, that young man would have surely suffered at the hands of the giant python. It wouldn't be, as the middle-aged mage said, that a simple level 3 fireball spell would allow someone to stroll through this forest. Receiving the praise, the young man grew even more arrogant. I just saved your life, aren't you going to thank me? I frowned slightly. Why steal my kill? He saw I was only level 1. A rookie like me here? He thinks I'll die instantly. How arrogant. Then the robed mage beside him spoke up. Little brother, I see your level is not high. This training area is very dangerous. You'd better leave as soon as possible. After saying that, he walked away with the young man. Although the kill stealing annoyed me, I'll let it go because of their intended kindness. As I go deeper, the forest monsters become more dense. This is how it should be. Suddenly, 7 or 8 giant pythons drop from the treetops. Magic explosion. Instantly, a dozen terrifying fireballs the size of wash basins bombarded the giant pythons. With just a thought, I can use this world's fire elements to wipe out high-level monsters at lightning speed. Suddenly, 2 brown bears lunged from the shadows toward me with a roar. But a second later, they were impaled by my instant fire spear. Congratulations, you reached level 2. I gained 10 free attribute points. Immediately after, a burst of white light emanated from my body. I leveled up. I added all 10 free attribute points to my spirit stat. My maximum mana limit increased by another 700 points. I just look at myself and worry. With only 20 health points, I still feel like I don't have much security. But for this situation, I already had a plan. As I began casting, a massive hexagonal magic circle appeared on the ground, summoning a giant creature 5 or 6 meters tall. This is the 6th level fire summoning spell, Molten Flame Demon. It summons a general from the fire elemental realm. But the moment I finished summoning it, my mana was instantly drained to 0. However, when I saw the attributes and skills of the Molten Flame Demon, it was all worth it. The Molten Flame Demon has 500,000 health points. This is a terrifying, dimension-shattering blow to every other monster in the entire Forest of Lament. Now, I am completely at ease. Under the effect of 7% mana recovery per second, my depleted mana quickly filled back up. I cast again and summoned a second Molten Flame Demon, followed quickly by a third. However, summoning 3 is my current limit. I stopped casting for a moment. I gave instructions to 2 of the Flame Demons to begin their mission. They will roam and patrol the entire Forest of Lament, killing every monster they see. I'll keep the remaining demon as my bodyguard. I took the last Molten Flame Demon with me and continued deeper into the forest. On the way, my mind was flooded with experience notifications. I had barely taken a few steps. A white light burst from my body once again. Congratulations, you reached level 3 and obtained 10 free attribute points. Another 5 or 6 white lights erupted from my body in quick succession. Congratulations, you reached level 7 and obtained 10 free attribute points. Damn, I jumped straight to level 7 in seconds. What on earth did those 2 monsters do? Why is there suddenly such a massive wave of experience hitting my account, just as I was reeling from the shock? Jane was also leveling up nearby in the Forest of Lament. Right now, she has already reached level 6 using her psychic killing abilities. Her leveling efficiency has actually already surpassed all of her peers. But even so, she still isn't nearly as effective as a Molten Flame Demon. Walking through the forest, Jane used her mental power to stun a forest grizzly and then used a mind slash for the finishing blow. After doing all this, her mana was completely drained. She sat down and drank a blue potion. As her mana slowly recovered, the face of the young man who had outperformed her for 3 years, the one she hated and couldn't forget, appeared before Jane's eyes. What is that guy doing now? Will he really just give up like this? While she was thinking, a sudden change occurred in the forest, with countless roars echoing endlessly. The entire earth seemed to be shaking. Jane was stunned. In this small practice area of River City, a beast stampede had begun. What scared these monsters so much that they became this chaotic? And as the stampede passed, Jane realized with horror what was actually chasing them. It was a terrifying monster 5 or 6 meters tall, with molten lava flowing all over its body. A Molten Flame Demon. Run. This was the only survival instinct left in Jane's mind. Fortunately, Jane was able to use telekinesis to escape. She used her powers to propel herself forward at high speed. At that moment, the entire Echo Forest was in chaos. A series of regional emergency alerts began to chime. The River City Monster Disaster Center detected 2 small-scale beast stampedes. Terrifying monsters of unknown level and strength are driving these beast swarms. Everyone in the Echo Forest and all professionals nearby must evacuate immediately. This is a level 2 alert. All relevant professionals must leave now. Jane turned pale. A level 2 alert? I've only seen that in books. It means real danger. A terrifying monster disaster is about to strike the entire city. Meanwhile, at the intersection of the Meadowlands and the Echo Forest, countless professional armies were waiting in formation. Once those 2 Molten Flame Demons crossed the forest border, they would all attack together. Just as they finished off a few stragglers, a horrific scene unfolded. The 2 Molten Flame Demons that ended up in River City's territory burst out of the forest and spotted the professionals. The humans had actually killed the demon's prey. The molten flame demons instantly let out low, terrifying roars. They hadn't originally planned to attack the humans. But now, two giant hands shook and hurled boiling lava at the ranks of powerful professionals. In that moment, there was an inconspicuous heavy-set man in the squad. At the tip of his fingers, a staff glowed with a holy white light. Immediately after, a golden shield suddenly materialized. It covered all the professionals standing in the front line. Countless streams of boiling lava slammed into the golden shield. The terrifying temperature was almost instantaneous, nearly melting the shield away. The heavy-set man, David, quickly added a layer of holy light shielding. He barely managed to save the lives of those professionals. How are they supposed to kill a monster this terrifying? Just then, an incredibly ancient voice echoed from the sky. Everyone, stop. No one is to actively attack any monster within the beast nest. And definitely do not attack those two molten flame demons. Let those two demons kill freely in the nest. Hearing that old voice, everyone's expression shifted. This person is the true strongest power in River City. The president of the Professional Alliance, Grand Mage Arthur. Everyone, listen up. Do exactly as Arthur says. The elder of the Satellite Alliance ordered his subordinates. Indeed, those two monsters stopped raging and began killing methodically. Nearly 10 minutes later, hundreds upon hundreds of monsters had been completely annihilated. The two fire demons returned satisfied to the Echo Forest. A terrible crisis was resolved just like that. Every professional there let out a long sigh of relief. Arthur descended from the sky, riding atop a Pegasus. He watched the two fire demons depart, his eyes full of envy and respect. Grandfather Arthur, do you know exactly what they are? You're all wrong. Those two magma demons are not monsters at all, but magic summons. Is it a great archmage? David and the satellite leader froze. David asked with a trembling voice. Do you mean that right now, in River City territory, a 6th-rank great archmage has appeared? Decades ago, I was interested in studying at the Pantheon. Back then, my tutor was a 6th-rank great archmage. That was when I saw my master summon a fire demon just like that one. This is a skill every mage wants to learn in their lifetime. Unfortunately, I don't think I'll get the chance. Arthur's face showed great power, and he made a secret decision. Later, I have to find a way to meet this great predecessor. If I'm lucky enough to receive guidance from this predecessor, it would be a great honor. But just as some were about to leave, a terrifying fluctuation of magic power came from the Echo Forest. Arthur felt a fire element aura even more terrifying than the magma demons. What on earth? Look quickly. Is that a dragon? Right now, in the sky. A terrifying giant dragon with a wingspan of fire appeared, and from 900 meters up, it is emitting a crushing pressure. The dragon is formed from the purest fire element. It looks immense and sacred. Arthur felt a buzzing in his mind, which instantly went blank. A 7th-rank spell. That means the predecessor in the Echo Forest isn't a great archmage. He's a 7th-rank Saint Mage. For a moment, everyone felt terrified and began to evacuate to find shelter. It turns out that a minute ago, I arrived at the center of the Echo Forest. But I accidentally entered the territory of the forest tigers. I was surrounded by hundreds of massive tigers. Suddenly, an extremely terrifying roar echoed from the cave. A moment later, a tiger king glowing with emerald green light stepped out. My eyes lit up. It seems this must be the strongest monster in the Echo Forest. A true boss. With a hissing sound, the tiger king violently swung its massive claw. Instantly, more than 10 sharp wind blades flew toward me. They hit me with extreme speed, striking my lava shield and draining over 1,000 health points. A slight smile touched the corner of my lips. I finally found someone with real strength. I'll use you to test my new spell and my daily free cast. I also have an instant cast opportunity for an advanced spell I haven't used yet. This Tiger King is, without a doubt, the perfect target. But before I could cast, 5 or 6 beams of white light enveloped my body again. Congratulations, you leveled up 5 times. Level 12 reached. 50 attribute points gained. The Tiger King stood there, completely stunned. What is wrong with this human? How did he jump so many levels at once? I extended a finger toward the beast. In an instant, the fire elements between heaven and earth turned violet. The entire tiger pack began to panic. Every single one of them felt a sense of impending doom. The adult tigers began to run frantically on all fours, desperate to escape this place. However, the only fate waiting for them was pure despair. Because the 7th rank spell, Skylashing Dragon, covers far too much ground. And because it's an instant cast, it completely bypasses the long chanting time. The speed of the coming attack surpassed everyone's imagination. The giant elemental dragon in the sky raised its head with pride. A moment later, it suddenly spat out a massive swarm of scorching, lashing dragons. Wherever it passed, everything withered instantly and turned to ash. After half a minute, the fire dragon's figure slowly dissipated on the horizon. The entire tiger pack in front of me had already turned into flying ash. The Tiger King was gone, replaced by a pile of gear and a white skill book. I checked the gear, but it was low-grade junk. The real value was that skill book, Windblade. Any weapon mage can learn it. My eyes lit up, and I used it immediately. Congratulations, you have obtained a new skill, Windblade. You can summon a blade of wind to attack distant enemies. This skill is the foundation of all wind-based mage abilities. The advantage of Wind Blade over Fireball is that Wind Blade is invisible, and its flight speed is extremely fast. It's hard for a target to dodge, though everything is relative. The damage from Wind Blade is only half that of a Fireball. If a 7th rank Sky Lashing Dragon can cause this much destruction, how terrifying is this game? What would 8th rank spells or 9th rank Forbidden Curses be like? Just thinking about it fills me with energy. Without even realizing it, I've already climbed to level 30. At level 30, I can finally go to the Class Transfer Sanctuary in Grant City. I need to receive the 2nd rank Profession quest. Without completing the Class Transfer mission to unlock the 2nd rank, there's no way to keep leveling up. So, there's no point in staying here anymore. Just as I was about to crush the teleportation scroll, I suddenly saw an emerald green light in the distance. It caught my attention. The Molten Balrog's hand dispersed back to the fire elemental plane, and then the Molten Balrog appeared again. I reached out my hand and gave the signal, and the Molten Balrog obeyed me very meekly. He headed toward the position glowing with emerald green light. Soon, I discovered the source of that green glow. It was the cave where the Wind-Striped Tiger King had emerged. I stepped inside. I finally saw the source of that emerald green light. It was countless green crystals. These crystals contained an extremely pure wind element force. I was overjoyed. I didn't expect that, besides the skill book, there would be such an unexpected bonus. If I sell these in the auction house, I bet I could get a very good price for them. I ordered the Molten Balrog to start digging up the emerald green crystals from the cave floor. In no time, that large piece of emerald crystal was extracted along with some rocks. I stored it in my personal space. Afterward, I crushed the city return scroll. When I opened my eyes again, I found myself back in the Great Teleportation Hall of Grant City. After returning home, I opened my status panel. I discovered that my skill point balance had increased by 40 or 50,000. And just today, I obtained a new wind skill. If I stay AFK for one more day, it will be enough to raise it to rank 7. The next morning, I went to the market and sold the green crystal for 120,000. System, it has been detected that your currency exceeds the city's value for the first time. Your SSS-Rank talent, Thorns of the Gods, has unlocked a new function. What? A new function? I quickly opened my talent interface. A new function. Now you can spend currency to buy a 24-hour AFK skill point bonus. After each purchase, the currency required for the next one will increase. The current purchase costs. It requires 10,000 credits. Damn, this is no different from having a pay-to-win feature. I can spend money directly to buy skill points. I didn't hesitate and decided to spend all this money immediately. I opened the talent interface and chose to buy the AFK bonus with money. Ding! You have obtained the 24-hour AFK bonus from Thorns of the Gods. 86,400 skill points. At the same time, the phone in my pocket vibrated, indicating that 10,000 credits were deducted from the card. Keep going. I don't know how many times I clicked until a message appeared saying there was an insufficient balance. I checked the history and found that the last purchase had cost over 40,000 credits. Suddenly, I felt a pang of distress. It's back. That familiar life of poverty is back. I opened my status panel. Fortunately, the skill point balance column gave me great comfort. Current assignable skill points, 42,582. Raising level 7 clairvoyance to level 8 requires 500,000 skill points. Obviously, it's not enough yet, so I set out to learn the wind blade and sealing skills. With the constant sound of ding, ding, ding ringing in my ears, my wind blade skill shot straight up to level 7. What surprised me most were the two new skills at level 5 and 6. The level 5 full seal wraps your body in wind energy, preventing others from seeing your true form. It consumes 500 mana per second, with a 1.5 second cast time and a 5-minute cooldown. The wind element will also form a pair of elemental constructs. These are wind wings, allowing you to fly at high speeds. At the same time, the wind cluster surrounding you will block 3 ranged attacks. Turns out, this is a human flight skill. Who doesn't dream of flying? As for the secondary effect, blocking ranged attacks is basically a wind wall. Now for the level 6 skill. Whirlwind Burst feels even more like a swordsman's move. The effect of Whirlwind Burst allows you to suddenly, in one direction, perform an extremely fast dashing attack. The moment I saw this skill, I knew it was definitely the cool and flashy type. It's just, why would this skill appear in a mage's skill set? A mage using this skill would also need to carry a melee weapon. I mean, technically a staff is considered a melee weapon. But hitting an opponent with a staff hundreds of times? That would be very weird, okay? Afterward, I went to the Grancia exchange and traded in all the high-tier gear I had obtained earlier. After selling more than 10 pieces of high-tier gear, my card held over 20,000 Grancia coins. Then, I started clicking through the Spirit Realm screen. I was preparing to choose a universal skill book, the Beginner Identification Book. Sale price, 18,992 Grancia coins per book. I scrolled down and found there was only one type of universal skill book, the most common one. The Beginner Identification Skill Book. It costs nearly 20,000, which is extremely expensive, but even if it's pricey, it doesn't matter. With an identification book, at least I won't reach the point of missing out on treasures. and I still have hundreds of thousands of skill points to fill it up, ensuring it has no flaws. I'll advance it to the top level immediately. I gritted my teeth and bought the identification skill book. Ding. Beginner identification book learned successfully. You have obtained a new appraisal skill book. Naturally, I didn't give it a second thought. Hundreds of thousands of skill points spent. I received an unprecedented message. Ding. Congratulations. You are the first on the entire blue planet to upgrade the appraisal skill book to the pinnacle level. You have obtained a unique reward, Eye of all occupations. Wait, this kind of thing actually exists? What a move. But I soon understood why no one would choose to max out the appraisal skill book. There's no profitability in it. After all, nobody is willing to give up valuable resources for this. There aren't many people who would skip class skills just to dump everything into an appraisal skill book. Realizing this, I quickly opened my skill column. All occupation I affect. When you stare at a target for more than 3 seconds, you ignore the level difference between you and the target. Ignore all falsehoods, stealth, and hidden effects of the target, and obtain all target information. When the target you stare at is a spiritual object or equipment that hasn't been successfully appraised yet, you have a 10% chance the quality of the item or equipment improves by 1 rank. I was stunned. The power of this skill has exceeded my wildest imagination. I focused my gaze on a professional walking past me. After 3 seconds, all of that person's information, status, and even weaknesses appeared before me. I calmed my racing heart and turned around to accept the job transfer mission. Upon entering, a girl approached and greeted me enthusiastically. Hello, professional. How can I help you? I need to accept the second job transfer mission. The girl with the glasses continues to smile. Then please show your professional ID. I felt a bit embarrassed. I had just transferred jobs. I haven't processed my professional certificate yet. Will a student ID work? The girl with the glasses looks a bit surprised. Are you saying you're a new professional who just successfully transferred jobs a week ago? I nodded. The girl with the glasses is even more shocked internally. She had never seen anyone reach the requirements for a second transfer in just 1 week. Quickly, the girl with the glasses completed the paperwork and led me to one of the job transfer ceremony rooms. Upon entering the room, I saw a blue spirit stone floating in the air. The moment I touched the spirit stone, I received a system message. Dean, you have received a Rank S transfer mission. The Death Knight must die. Mission requirements. Please complete this with a team of 3 people or fewer. Kill the level 60 world boss, the Death Knight, Riven. Obtain the mission item, Heart of the King. I stood there stunned. An S-class difficulty, and it's just this level 60 boss? This level is even lower than the fusion flame demon I summoned. Even if it's a boss, 1 attack from the whipping dragon should kill it, right? The mission even allows teams of 3. This is way too lenient, isn't it? I almost cried as I accepted the mission. I left the class transfer center and headed straight to the teleportation hall. As the magic runes began to light up, the next instant, I arrived at the Canlon teleportation hall. The girl with the glasses had told me earlier. The location of the Land of Silence, the southern reef of Canlon. Strange Wind Wings is a 5-knot spell from the Windhide set. Windhide spells usually have a short duration, but with the blessing of eternal divine grace, 5-knot spells are fluid for me. I didn't hesitate. I cast Strange Wind Wings seamlessly. In the next instant, a pair of wind wings appeared behind me. Instantly, I transformed into a bolt of emerald green light, heading straight for the Land of Silence. At the same time, in the Land of Silence, a massive crowd of professionals was approaching the central area. That's where the world boss, the Death Knight, respawns. Members of the Thunder Guild were locking down the site. Shut up, you loiterers, they shouted. Have you joined up yet? They blocked the independent players. Is the world boss your property? Yes, it is. Now back off. The guild members guarding the perimeter wore mocking expressions. That's right, it belongs to the Thunder Guild. Try us. Faced with such arrogant and irrational behavior, countless players were fuming but didn't dare speak up. Right now, the Death Knight's respawn is a key event. The 2 big guilds naturally plan to monopolize the entire city and all the loot. Suddenly, a black plague emitting a dense aura of death began to spread across the Land of Silence. Distress signals flooded the guild channel. The boss is calling for help. Hurry. But when they arrived, the scene before their eyes left everyone in total shock. Countless corpses lay on the ground, soaking in foul, black water. Their weapons were shattered, their faces twisted in pain, and their lifeless eyes remained wide open. They even saw their own leader in that pile of bodies. They couldn't believe their eyes. It's just a level 60 world boss. They've killed it dozens of times. How could they be completely wiped out? Before they could process it, they saw him. The culprit, the Death Knight Riven, had grown 10 times his normal size. Run, he's transformed. Rumor has it that world bosses and dungeon bosses have a secret, terrifying trigger. There is an extremely low chance they can be corrupted by the power of the Abyss, activating a transformation state. In this state, the boss's level and skills receive an extremely terrifying boost. Before the others could run away, the Death Knight Riven pulled on his reins. In the next instant, waves of undead magic dispersed at the feet of countless people. The dry earth was instantly flooded by endless, pitch-black plague water. In that black water, countless claws seemed to grab everyone nearby, clutching every professional trying to escape. As the black water spread, a new scene made their hair stand on end. The corpses that were previously lying scattered across the ground began to move. Undead power was injected into their bodies, and they rose once again. They picked up broken swords and recited familiar spells, but this time, they fought for the Death Knight. Just as everyone fell into despair, they suddenly heard a sound in their ears. An incomparably resonant dragon's roar echoed as a brilliant golden light tore through the black mist. A terrifying giant dragon radiating infinite heat appeared in the sky. The dragon breath spewing from its mouth fell like a waterfall. The Death Knight raised his head. The figure in the sky was reflected in his pupils, which burned like flickering ghost fires. The black plague water that entangled the ankles of all the professionals began to vanish. Under the scorching heat of the dragon's breath, the darkness withered away. It turned into specks of black energy at the speed of light. High in the sky, I exhaled a sigh. Fortunately, I arrived in time. Seeing the Death Knight, I didn't think twice. I unleashed an instant cast Celestial Flame Dragon Breath. It slammed directly into him. After the dragon breath faded, I narrowed my eyes. His health barely dropped at all. This boss is something else. I didn't expect a single Celestial Flame Breath to kill the Death Knight, but I thought it would take out at least half his health, right? Now it looks like even several blasts of Celestial Flame might not work. I stared down at the Death Knight, Riven. Under the influence of my full-time eye, his information appeared. Necrotic Knight Riven. Evolution Level 1. Level 200. Health, 10 million. Mana, 100,000. Weakness, Holy Light Damage. I was shocked. Wasn't level 200 supposed to be equivalent to level 60? How did his level suddenly spike this much? Is Evolution 1 some kind of upgraded boss version? Even so, a Celestial Eye Dragon Strike only dealt 30,000 damage. I don't quite get it. Fortunately, I have the full-time eye. I quickly scanned the Necrotic Knight's skills and found the problem. It was his passive skill, Immortality Zone. Its effect reduces all incoming non-holy light damage by 50% and caps the maximum damage from a single hit at 9,999 points. Plus, he restores 5,000 health points every second. This passive skill is absolutely broken. No wonder a Celestial Eye Dragon Strike barely scratched him, losing only that tiny bit of health. Fortunately, I upgraded my Wind Blade magic yesterday. Otherwise, I really wouldn't have any way to deal with this guy today. Originally, I looked down on Wind Blade magic a little bit, mainly because it felt too shallow, but now the situation is different. When facing someone who resists high single-hit damage, Wind Blade's multi-segment attack is perfect. Right now, I'm muttering the incantation, preparing the 7th Order Wind Blade, the chant for the sorcery technique, the Shattering 1,000 Orchids. Even though I still have 2 instant cast charges left, I want to test something. How long will it take to fully chant a 7th Order spell? At that moment, a terrifying image appeared in the sky. This behavior also seems to have completely enraged the Necrotic Knight. He suddenly raised the Black Knight's sword in his hand, pointing it directly at the sky. An incomparably terrifying noise erupted from his throat. The next moment, the Black Plague water rushed back like a tide. Thousands of undead creatures returned to the world under the Necrotic Knight's summons. The giant sword in the Necrotic Knight's hand swung violently. Terrifying death, sword energy flew straight toward the sky. His signature skill, Celestial Death Slash. Its power is terrifying. I even heard the air being torn apart, emitting a dull humming sound. However, I'm not nervous at all because my chant is complete. Under the passive influence of Divine Grace, this 7th Order spell remains active forever. It took me less than 10 seconds to chant the entire thing. The next moment, a torrent of violent wind fell from the sky, meeting the Celestial Death Slash. The knight's attack was instantly swallowed by the rushing torrent of wind. Immediately after, I used my fingers to point twice in quick succession. The already terrifying storm doubled in strength instantly. The nearby players are losing their minds. How can that guy cast 3 in a row with just a gesture? How strong is he? I've used all 3 instant cast charges I saved up throughout the day. I was worried that a single 7th level giant storm wouldn't be enough. This boss has 2 million HP. He's a monster that breaks the immortal void. If I hit him with 3 7th level spells, there's no way he stays alive, right? If he doesn't die now, I'll have to run. But it turns out I worried too much. Above the knight's head, layers of densely packed damage numbers began to appear rapidly. The numbers aren't huge, mostly 1 or 2,000 or 3,000 on a critical hit. But the frequency of the damage is absolutely terrifying. With just the first wave of damage, the Death Knight's HP bar dropped to less than a third. The following 2 waves didn't give him a single second to recover. This time, the Death Knight's HP was wiped out at the speed of light. Congratulations, you have killed a world boss, the Death Knight. Ryan gained 2,200,000 experience points as a bonus for the high-level kill. I earned 2,000 fixed skill points, 20 exchangeable skill points, and 5 scrolls. 20 points and 5 exchangeable skill point scrolls. Not bad. Congratulations, you have obtained a special mission item, the King's Heart. Your class change mission has been completed. Please return to the class change sanctuary to submit the mission. I slowly descend from the sky. In the spot where the Death Knight and his horse once stood, I discovered a massive pile of glowing golden equipment. One of the pieces even shimmered with a platinum white light. Besides that, I also saw 2 skill books lying on the ground. I gathered all the treasures from the floor in one go. Then, the wings of swift wind appeared again, and my figure vanished quickly. After that, I returned to the class change sanctuary to turn in the mission. Sarah was dumbfounded. We just saw each other an hour and a half ago, right? How did you do it so fast? Soon, Sarah led me to a room where the class change cores were kept. I stepped in front of the core and touched it with both hands. Congratulations, your class change was successful. You have advanced to Ultimate Mage. You have obtained the new skills, Ice Arrow and Mana Shield. Wow, it's still so dark. The fire and ice systems are the most common class changes in the entire mage profession. However, I don't look down on the Ice Arrow and Mana Shield skills, because any skill in my hands becomes broken and overpowered after a successful class change. I opened my status panel and dumped every attribute point I earned from leveling up into Spirit. 7th order spells consume massive amounts of mana, not to mention 8th order spells or forbidden magic. I don't want to end up like a crippled mage like Merlin, struggling to cast once the Mana Storm's free casting effect wears off. I need to be ready for when that free casting window closes. After assigning my points, I realized I had jumped 9 levels in a row. That includes the massive amount of experience dropped by a level 40 knight, plus all the experience I gained from slaughtering that endless horde of undead soldiers. Once the level cap was removed, none of that stored experience went to waste. My total mana has now skyrocketed to nearly 40,000 points. Even if I don't rely on the Mana Storm's free casting buff right now, I can still cast 7th order spells 3 or 4 times using my own mana. I clenched my fists in excitement. In the upcoming National Professional Exam, I want to see which school is actually qualified to accept me. After that, I went back to my room and emptied my inventory. First, more than 10 pieces of equipment. Among them were 8 or 9 silver pieces, 3 gold pieces, and finally, the platinum piece. It's the black sword the Death Knight was wielding earlier. But the class requirements for this gear are strictly warrior and knight. The sword has special effects that look like a painting. Weapons with special effects are worth a fortune, but I have no way to sell them yet. The authorities keep a very strict watch over the equipment of every professional. Fortunately, the government opened a dedicated recycling channel. The building administration will recycle items at a high price. But right now, I can't explain to the government how I obtained this gear. So I'll just store it in my personal space and sell it later when I'm stronger. Then I pulled out 2 skill scrolls, the most valuable treasures. The first is Explosive Arrow, a skill book good for both teams and individuals. The price definitely won't be cheap. When I saw the second book, I got excited instantly because it's a mage-type skill, Summon Skeleton Soldiers. And it's a necromancer-type skill book. Necromancer skills are the rarest of all mage specialties. I immediately chose to use it, but a cold message appeared. Learning failed. Your profession is not the orthodox career path this skill belongs to. If you want to learn it, you need to consume extra materials to break the crystal. What the hell is this magic crystal? No matter how much I think about it, I can't find any relevant info. But I'm not worried about other things. Even if I learn necromancy skills now, I'd want to level them up to the max. I still don't have enough skill points for that. Afterward, I went to Sean's jewelry gallery and sold all the gear for over 500,000. Plus, I found out from the boss that there's only one way to get an advancement magic crystal: join the professional league, or use work merit points, or continue with the job. And you don't need guild contributions to redeem them in a large guild with official backing. But besides that, there is one other way: getting admitted into a prestigious professional academy, or outstanding performance on the national entrance exam. These will grant rewards. Among those rewards is the advancement magic crystal. After leaving the treasure gallery, I went straight to school. While walking, I activated the new function of my God's Thorns talent. After buying skill points 6 times in a row, I gained over 500,000 points. Adding those to my savings, I extracted them into the church's magic system. Now I have over 800,000 skill points. I opened the skill interface and selected the frozen ice mirror I just obtained. I leveled it up 7 times at once. If the fire system follows a path of violent damage output, and the wind system follows a rapid attack style, then the frozen ice mirror is the ultimate crowd control. Level 7 skill, Soul Freeze. It can seal the target's soul in eternal ice, preventing them from acting or using skills with unlimited duration. Even if it deals no damage, it's absolute control. It extends the control duration from limited to unlimited. As long as it isn't destroyed by fire, it is eternal control. Then I looked at the successful second job transfer from this time. Another passive skill, Mana Shield. When you take damage, 10% of that damage value is absorbed by your mana. With my constant addition of points, this survival skill was renewed. Level 7 skill, Immortal Mana Body, Effect 1. When I take damage, 40% of that damage value is absorbed by my mana. Effect 2, when I suffer elemental damage. Based on my affinity for that element, the corresponding damage reduction increases further. Effect 3, when I take a hit, that would cause my health points to drop to 0. That damage is completely absorbed by my mana instead. This effect can only activate once every 30 days. Incredible. It doesn't just offer high damage reduction, it even provides a chance to cheat death. The sense of security this skill provides is at its absolute peak. Before, survival was always my weakness. Now, I don't have to worry about it at all. After adding the 2 new skills from my second job transfer, I still have over 500,000 skill points left. That's enough to raise one level 7 skill to level 8. But which one should I choose? For now, I'll hold off and think about it. While I was thinking, I arrived at the principal's office door. When Principal Lawrence saw me, a hint of surprise flashed in his eyes. "I'm glad you finally got over the shock," he said. I didn't explain. I just looked at him directly. "Principal Lawrence, I heard my tutor has an urgent matter for me regarding my future." "What is it?" He turned serious. "This morning, in the eastern suburban training area of River City, an eruption of unknown abyssal breath occurred. A reality trial dungeon appeared. And this dungeon is only accessible to mage classes." I stayed silent for a moment. "Principal, what are the benefits of clearing this trial?" I asked. "The reward for this trial is a title called Reality Challenger. The title doesn't have any attributes, but you can think of it as a key or a qualification. A qualification to enter the true abyss. This time, the mage class trial that appeared has very simple rules. It's just about surviving for 3 hours inside the trial dungeon. There are no requirements to kill monsters or bosses." After our talk, the principal took me directly to the dungeon entrance. However, there were so many people here that you couldn't even see the entrance. People were lining up. Suddenly, an exclamation erupted at the entrance. I looked over. I saw Jane coming out looking like she had lost her soul. When Jane saw her grandfather, John, waiting outside, she burst into tears. "Grandpa, my uncle didn't make it out. There are too many monsters," she sobbed. "No matter where we stay, the monsters just keep coming. There is almost nowhere to hide in the entire space. In the end, my uncle gave me escape scrolls and drew their fire so we could get away." John and the principal looked grim. They both felt a chill. "You have to understand, this trial only allows professionals from the mage class to enter. There are no tanks to hold the monsters and no priests to heal. Now it seems the difficulty is at least level 1. At that moment, people were constantly stumbling out of the entrance with agonized screams. Cries for help rose and fell. Countless wounded were covered in blood. The scene was a total disaster. All of these people should be like me. The first group to enter the trial dungeon, including Frank standing beside me, smiled bitterly. "We are inept. Not only did we miscalculate the difficulty of the dungeon, but there is no such thing as a guide." "I'm sorry, student," the old principal said. He seemed to age decades in an instant. He fell into deep self-criticism and guilt. However, while everyone else was terrified, I stepped toward the dungeon entrance. Frank didn't react at all. He broke into a cold sweat. "What? Knowing it's a level 1 trial with extremely high difficulty, how dare you enter without authorization?" At that moment, people from other academies mocked me. "He's really courting death. Not to mention a rookie like him who just completed his job transfer. Even if it were just us, it's very dangerous to enter a dungeon of this difficulty." Right then, I crossed through the light curtain of the dungeon. I received a system notification. Entering for the first time, I found myself in darkness. In the dark night sky, not a single star was visible, only a scarlet blood moon. Although the lighting conditions were very poor, I relied on my magic skill, all-knowing eye. I can still see everything around me. The mission briefing is posted. Please survive for 3 hours in Fjelkane. Current time remaining, 2 hours, 59 minutes, and 49 seconds. Pro tip, if possible, please restrain your heartbeat and hold your breath. They hate noise. Seeing this, I reflected instantly. Judging by this notice, these monsters must locate prey by sound. While I was thinking, a strange noise suddenly rang out. I looked back and discovered several clusters of darkness approaching, and even some smiling faces floating in the air. The dark monster is called a light and shadow demon, and the floating face is called a light and shadow eye. From the perspective of a normal professional, avoiding battle is undoubtedly the best idea. But I plan to take a different path. To deal with the darkness, you can't just hide. My friend, use fire. As long as I kill them all, I don't have to hide or run. In my hands, a brilliant flash of fire appeared. A 4th order fire area of effect damage skill. The flame storm activates instantly. As soon as I made my move, I unleashed a triple burst. With a roar of noise, the 5 or 6 shadow monsters surrounding me were instantly killed. But a second later, I heard more whispering sounds approaching. I raised my hand again. After a brief chant, I summoned my guard. The monster from I-11 handed over this bodyguard. I opened the skill interface and planned to allocate my points. This time, my goal is 8th order fire magic. It consumes 500,000 skill points. Your Dragon's Breath skill talent has advanced. You obtain the new spell, Fire Spirit Incarnation. Instant cast time. Cooldown, 3 days. Fire Spirit Sublimation effect. You are immune to all physical damage and fire attribute damage. You gain the ability to fly. In this state, when you cast fire skills, your critical hit chance increases by 100%, and it ignores 50% of the target's magic resistance. All spells that require casting times become instant. Furthermore, it no longer requires mana consumption. The Ascension state lasts 3 minutes and allows control over fire elements. Forget hand positions. This rare skill is truly unparalleled. Special position for players at levels 5 and 10. Cooldown, 3 days. You gain the ability to fly and a fresh perspective. Global trial budget confirmed. Arthur is checking me down. Instantly, the moment I completed the Supreme Ascension, all the demons hidden in the entire city of Dawn and the shadow monsters grew anxious because the temperature rose. The temperature was rising rapidly. Then I flew high into the sky using the flight ability granted by the Fire Spirit state. My flight speed is no slower than the wind, perhaps due to the sharp increase in temperature, and the light illuminating everything. The terrifying creature, subjugated beneath the city, became completely enraged. After a deafening explosion, a massive dark claw suddenly reached out, aiming directly for the blue flame in the sky. However, the moment it made contact, the claw was terrified by the flame and incinerated until it turned into a piece of charcoal. This further infuriated the giant creature hidden underground. This time, an even more violent earthquake occurred. I saw 8 giant scarlet eyes shining in the abyss. It was clearly a giant spider condensed from shadows. The level of this boss is over 20 levels higher than the transformed undead knight. All its attributes are perfect. It brutally defeated the transformed undead knight. Under normal circumstances, most professionals entering this trial instance would never encounter monsters of this level. Only my arrival infuriated it, which led to the current situation. If I kill it, this instance should be complete, right? At this moment, the time remaining in my ascension state is about 1.5 minutes. I extended a hand and aimed at the massive demon spider lurking underground, chanting lightly. In the next moment, all the fire elements in the world were amplified to the extreme. In an instant, the temperature of the entire city of Dawn soared to millions of degrees Celsius. The terrifying temperature made the shadow demon spider scream in pain. Its health was decreasing at a speed visible to the naked eye, losing millions of points. Its health was about to hit 0 in the blink of an eye. It tried to flee frantically, but it was all too late. The massive explosion of supreme sublimation, a sudden, violent blast. The blue sphere of spirit fire, like a nuclear bomb, expanded rapidly, engulfing the entire city of Dawn. Countless shadow demons were turned to ash. The entire dungeon space burned with deep blue, high-temperature flames. I watched this scene with my heart full of shock. 8th order fire magic was simply too explosive. I even think that a sky flame dragon wouldn't be enough to stop it. Suddenly, I remembered this move still has no name. It is very similar to a supernova. I should call it the 7 million suns. As the fire died down, my talent finished highlighting my path, but it was a tremendous victory. I marched forward without distractions, moving across the distance toward the bright light. I could finally travel through the abyss. At the altar, I saw the exit and walked toward it. I earned the title Conqueror of the Abyss. This special trial dungeon, from this day forward, will be permanently famous in the Blue Star Abyss world. Good. This operation of mine directly made the dungeon disappear. Then I rescued Jane's uncle and was teleported out of the dungeon. When I opened my eyes again, I had already returned to the outskirts of the city of John, standing in the lush grassland. At this moment, everyone waiting outside the dungeon gate was shocked. I had entered this trial dungeon less than 3 minutes ago. How did I get out so fast? Wait, who am I holding in my arms? He looks a bit familiar. Jane shouted, "Uncle." At that moment, everyone realized that I had actually rescued the person. When Jane saw that her uncle was unharmed, she thanked me. She wept uncontrollably, rubbing her eyes and apologizing to me. It's truly difficult to hear those words from her mouth. Looking at her like this, I couldn't help but complain. For the last 3 years, Jane has been the school's ice queen. It was impossible for her to smile at me, let alone say thank you. Jane stomped her foot in anger. She didn't expect me to tease her at a time like this. The principal stepped forward to comfort me. He thought I failed since the requirement was to survive for 3 hours. Leaving early usually means failure. However, I didn't explain anything. In the next instant, a global announcement broadcasted across the entire area, leaving everyone speechless. Congratulations to the professional, Leo, for clearing the dungeon. Special Abyss Dungeon, City of Dawn. Completion time, 0 hours, 2 minutes, and 42 seconds. Completion rank, S. After this, no other professionals will be able to enter this dungeon. The completion record for this trial will be moved to the History Hall of Fame. Everyone stood there, dumbfounded, staring at me. The principal's brain was completely paralyzed. He knew this young man had potential, but he didn't expect this much. I didn't just clear the dungeon. I entered the Global Hall of Fame. Until now, fewer than 1,000 people in the entire world have their names inscribed on that Hall of Fame list. This is the supreme honor for all professionals. At 18 years old, I entered the World Record Hall of Fame for dungeon completion. Right now, I am being watched by countless eyes. At the same time, my power reached a new level where the Plutonian energy became unusual and absolute. Immediately, but I refused directly. This time, even Marcus was a bit surprised. In his opinion, this was already an unprecedented act of generosity. Why wasn't I flattered? He told me to think it over, as this could be the best opportunity of my life. I couldn't help but laugh. He could have left me with a better impression. Maybe then I would have considered joining his Zenith Academy. This was his best chance, too. The principal was shocked when he heard me say that. What an arrogant kid, he thought. But I felt strangely relieved. Marcus gave me a deep look and then left with his team. For the next 10 days, I didn't go out to practice much. The areas around the city were already far below my current level. As the exam approached, other students enrolled in cram sessions. I just stayed home for 10 days, resting and relaxing. Later, I went out to exchange my resources. I received a notification from the bank. My bank card received a message regarding a recent transaction from the manor. I received a transfer of 749,680 credits. My total balance is now 1,293,346.21 credits. My savings have officially surpassed 1 million. A notification chimed in my head. It detected my balance exceeded 1 million. My talent, God's Thorns, unlocked a new feature. I opened the talent interface in my mind. Skill evolution. I can now spend 1 million sapphire coins and the corresponding skill points to evolve any rank 8 skill or higher. This converts it into a liquefied version of the same rank, with much greater power and effect. Wow, my own talent has actually turned into a pay-to-win talent. Not only can I pay to gain skill points faster, but now I can also evolve them. To evolve skills, I opened my personal panel and looked at my skill point column. Assignable skill points, 974,639. These were the skill points sent for free every day during these last 10 days. Nearly 1 million have accumulated. I still haven't forgotten the small goal I set a month ago. On Awakening Day, I vowed to take the Fireball spell to the maximum level. Now, that goal is actually within reach. Should I pay to speed this up? I opened the payment interface and saw that I needed to spend 100,000 sapphire coins to exchange for over 80,000 skill points, which felt a bit painful. That's more than 1 credit per point. Buying a skill point? I'm not paying. I can't keep paying. Otherwise, the million sapphire coins on my card won't be enough to waste. That night, I opened my personal panel. Again, this time, the skill point balance exceeded 7 figures. I opened the skill panel. I stopped at the interface for the rank 8 Fire Spirit Avatar skill. The system asked if I wanted to spend 1 million skill points to raise the skill level to rank 9. I didn't hesitate and added the points with 1 tap. 1 million skill points were consumed. My Fire Spirit Avatar has advanced to rank 9, Burning Cloud Sky. However, advancing to rank 9 is far from the end. I previewed the skill obtained after the next rank advancement. The ancient forbidden spell is actually the language. The skill points required for the next advancement are 10 million. Now this is even more interesting. Even if the required skill points eventually exceed hundreds of millions, for me, that's only a few years of waiting. However, at this stage, currently, my goal is to raise every magic system to the forbidden spell level. The next morning, I arrived in the city of Sterling to participate in the National Occupational Exam. An announcement blared outside the testing center. Attention, all candidates, please. The 2024 National Entrance Exam for higher vocational education institutions is about to begin. Please form a line and pass through gate 1 at a time. This exam will provide difficulty options corresponding to the level of each candidate. I soon passed through the gate. Instantly, a golden magic staff icon appeared above my head. The entire exam field erupted in shouts. Damn, it's a new gold marker. A real big shot from the Magic City. Just then, an examiner approached to receive me. I followed her down the path and soon saw an exam hall door with entrance 1 written on it. More than 20 people were already standing in front of the entrance. The markers above their heads were gold, just like mine. These must be the geniuses cultivated by elite wealthy families and the top academies. However, when they noticed a new face, they couldn't help but mock me. Hengqin General Exam? What kind of ghost town is that? I've never heard of it. Is there a glitch with that gate? How can a shithole like that produce a gold marker? I ignored their taunts. I walked up on my own to prepare to register my information. Just as I was about to touch the crystal, an arrogant voice came from behind me. Hey, brother, it wasn't easy reaching level 25, was it? I'll give you some friendly advice. Don't choose nightmare difficulty or you'll get slaughtered by the monsters inside. I turned my head slightly and saw that the person speaking was a boy with dyed blonde hair. As soon as this blonde guy opened his mouth, the other candidates around him laughed quietly. Kevin, there's a difference. Even between gold markers, not everyone can be like you. Reaching level 29, the blonde guy was secretly delighted. What mattered most to him was the opinion of a beautiful young woman standing next to him. However, when he turned to look at her, he saw a look of disgust in her eyes. Kevin, she said, you don't need to use this method to get my attention. At the same time, the young woman set her eyes on me. Instantly, an expression of disbelief appeared on her face, because the moment my hand touched the crystal, a level number jumped onto the light screen, level 42. In that moment, everyone was dumbfounded. Kevin stared at the level 42 on the light screen. Instantly, the young woman froze, staring at the screen. He felt as if an invisible slap had struck his face. Professor, why can't I select the difficulty? I asked. I was originally going to select Nightmare, but I found I couldn't select it, as if it were locked. At this moment, the examiner recovered from his daze. Wait a moment, let me see. To be honest, he couldn't even believe the level of this young man in front of him. Level 42? Where did this monster come from? After a frantic operation, the examiner in charge of registration was already sweating twice as much because he discovered the system had no problem. The reason you can't select the difficulty is because this system, since its creation, has an underlying code that restricts difficulty selection based on level range, 25 to 30. Simply put, this level 42 monster has already been entered into the system by this examiner. The examiner thought for a moment. He definitely couldn't make a decision on this matter by himself. He could only report it. Then, the examiner ran straight to the exam center. After the superior received word of this special situation, he fell silent. The last time he encountered such an impressive candidate was decades ago. Since we've found one again today, let's make an exception. Reopen that difficulty that once existed. Among the others, the deputy director's face had already turned pale. That difficulty has caused too many accidents. It's too hard for these candidates. Marcus shook his head. Times are different. To him, the truth is a joke. For the sake of fairness, let's simultaneously open all 22 exam centers. Across all of SkySea, purgatory difficulty. The people under Marcus's command felt a tingle in their scalps. If the deputy director opens the abyssal difficulty, those who don't have a special abyssal title won't be able to select it. Marcus waved his hand. Then, let them show their abyssal titles. Those without an abyssal title won't be able to select the purgatory difficulty. If this level 42 kid hasn't passed a special test before and doesn't have a title, then let him select nightmare difficulty. There's nothing else that can be done about it. Marcus made a significant decision. Everyone could only obey. The examiner received the order immediately and ran off again, back to exit number 1. To everyone, because of the addition of purgatory difficulty, the registration already completed. Previously, candidates who chose a difficulty that was too high now have a chance to choose their difficulty again. The next moment, the examiner saw 3 hands raised. The young woman told him there was nothing she could do about it. To purgatory level. The next moment, I saw people, including Elena, step forward. 5 large black characters appeared above their heads. Abyss Fire. Kevin is looking at me provocatively right now. It doesn't matter how high your level is. If you don't pass the professional test, you still can't choose purgatory difficulty. At that moment, everyone looked at me. However, I was already confused when the examiner mentioned using the title. Where do I even use this title thing? Beside me, Kevin felt even more ecstasy in his heart. He faking it. You obviously don't have it, do you? However, the examiner didn't say much. Open your personal panel, and then press and hold the name in your own name column. The title list will appear. I suddenly realized and followed the examiner's instructions. I quickly opened my title column. However, my finger slipped, and I accidentally clicked on the first title. The next moment, everyone felt a glare in front of their eyes, and then golden light exploded. A series of words appeared prominently above my head. World Record Hall of Fame. For dungeon clearance. Everyone was stunned. Holy crap, my 24-karat titanium alloy eyes. What the hell is this title? So cool. I saw everyone's expressions and was also surprised. Why is everyone making those faces? Could it be that I picked the wrong title? I looked up and noticed that string of titles. Wow, this is way too flashy. This doesn't match my low-key personality. I smiled awkwardly. Sorry, I'm still not very skilled. I picked the wrong title. I quickly opened my title column. Again, in my opinion, you should only use one title. I chose Abyss Conqueror, replacing the previous Hall of Fame title. They would surely be scared, but I'm still too young. Just as I chose to wear the title of Abyss Conqueror, another line of text appeared above the Hall of Fame title on my head. It read Abyss Conqueror. Its special effect was no less flashy than the gold of the Hall of Fame. The Abyss Conqueror title shone with a dazzling, fresh red light. Around it, there was abyss, darkness, and mist. The arrogance was at its peak. Everyone was shocked. Again, you did that on purpose, didn't you? You definitely did that on purpose. Why does this guy have so many super cool titles? Everyone there had heard of the Hall of Fame title, even if they hadn't seen it. That is the honor dreamed of by every professional on the Blue Star. But now this gloomy atmosphere was at its max. What's the deal with this Conqueror title? It's full of abyssal oppression. Why are we challengers while he is already a conqueror? Seeing these reactions again, I was speechless. I really wanted to be low-key. The examiner has completely lost it. He feels he has zero dignity in front of this 18-year-old monster. Candidate, does that title on your head also give you the qualification to enter the Abyss Dungeon? I haven't seen this kind of title before. As he spoke, the examiner felt inferior. He's gone through 4 reincarnations, but he really doesn't know. How do you even get the Abyss Conqueror title? Silently, I removed the ostentatious 24-karat gold Hall of Fame title. Then I returned. Some examiners completely shut down. They felt like the person before them might be an abyss monster disguised in human skin. However, Sophie can no longer look away from me. Strength and mystery, the qualities that attract girls most, manifested perfectly in one person. Even Sophie, a prodigy and one of the best in the city. How do you even get the Abyss Conqueror title? I heard the dungeon announcement in my mind. Attention candidates, in 1 minute, a level 30 goblin will appear in front of you. This goblin will not move or attack. Kill it as fast as possible. The less time you take, the higher your score will be. The rule surprised me at first, but then I felt a hint of disappointment in my heart. Really? You call this inferior difficulty? The moment the goblin spawned, I raised my hand and cast a fireball, taking only 2.5 seconds to kill it completely. After seeing the announcement on the big screen showing the results, everyone was stunned. What is happening? Others have barely reached half health, and you kill it instantly. Right now, I'm sitting in the dungeon space. A bit bored. About 20 seconds have passed, and the rankings have started to update. One name after another appeared on the list. The first candidate, Leo, passed the first round. It took him 2 seconds and 36 hundredths, earning 1,000 points. The second candidate, Isaac, passed the first round in 23 seconds and 27 hundredths, earning 877.6 points. Outside the first examination center of the city, a massive screen displayed the rankings. The current exam progress in real time. Countless people exclaimed, "Look at that! First place, a name I've never heard of. He actually passed the level with a massive lead. The first round of the exam produced a dark horse. More than a dark horse, this is simply a Pegasus. In the exam administration center, on the other hand, a subordinate asked, Director Lee, this kid's 1,000 points. Is it the maximum score for this round? Director Lee nodded. Within 10 seconds. If you can kill that goblin, the score is maxed out. I established this rule myself in the past. How many years has it been since we've seen a perfect score at this difficulty? The screen in the conference room suddenly flickered. What is about to play is my performance in the first round. Everyone is very curious. How is it possible to pass the first round of testing in just 2 seconds? After seeing the recording, everyone in the conference room was stunned. Play it again. Director Lee also felt a bit incredulous. After the second playback began, Director Lee added, in slow motion, put it in slow motion. This time, everyone finally saw clearly that at the moment the goblin appeared, 5 or 6 giant fireballs the size of a face appeared in front of me. These fireballs were like a barrage, with an extremely high frequency. Attacking the monster directly, they hit the health points of the goblin at a terrifying speed, dropping madly. After barely 2 seconds, the health points are emptied. This is the second level skill of a fire mage. Fire blast. But curiously, how could I cast so many fire blasts with such terrifying efficiency? There is likely only one possibility. This kid's fire blast is instantaneous. He probably awakened some talent when he unlocked his class. Right now, everyone is staring at the screen. Just as all the geniuses of Georgia are showing off their skills, I'm sitting on the ground board, drawing circles with my fingers. I was originally thinking about the National College Entrance Exam. Still, purgatory difficulty should let me take it seriously. Who would have thought? It's like playing house with children. The second round of testing is 20 or 1,000 goblins. Are they kidding me? Wouldn't they all be wiped out with one firestorm? Countless big shots at the exam center see me like this. They all burst out laughing and crying instantly. Director Lee, looking at the big screen, couldn't help but complain. Could it be he has no Yoi skills? So he has given up. Once this assumption is proposed, it instantly gains the recognition of many people. After all, this kid is just an ordinary class. He doesn't even compare to rare classes, let alone surpass legendary classes. The next moment, all the dungeons reset with 20 whole goblins. However, just at that moment, on the big screen of the exam center, there suddenly appeared an incomparably bright orange light. Countless bursts of burning air, shrouded in glowing embers, fell from the sky, heavily striking those 20 goblin monsters. And those 20 goblins disappeared directly as if they had melted. This time, Director Lee couldn't sit still. He instantly widened his eyes. The leaderboard jumped again. The number 1 spot of exam room 01 passes the second round. I earned 1,000 points in 10.1 seconds. All the top officials of Georgia stared, eyes wide as if facing a disaster. I stood there, my power invisible to them. Someone even cursed out loud right in front of the leader. Their usual civilized image collapsed instantly. After Director Lee took a deep breath, he made a gesture. Go check the historical records for the second round across all 600 college entrance exams nationwide. I'll do it immediately. Obviously, he realized that I had created a record that shattered the historical limit. However, Director Lee stopped him again and ordered the supervision room to investigate thoroughly. Was there a basic problem with the dungeon? Was this record the result of a glitch? Look into it. Investigate if the instance has fundamental issues. If this record is due to an error, find out. Check his status and blue equipment. Ensure he didn't cheat. Soon, Director Lee's subordinates were on the case. The response came back. Director Lee had the entire technical department staff re-examine everything. There are no anomalies. The dungeon status and data are normal. He achieved this result fairly. The subordinate reporting was clearly very excited. Director Lee was in a great mood. The news the subordinate reported next made him smile even wider. Director Lee, we also checked the related records in the mansion's vault. In the historical year 2876, during the National College Entrance Exam, a candidate from the capital scored 0.48 seconds in the second round. This record hasn't been broken in 100 years, and it's worth mentioning that the candidate who created that record was named Zen Jinxian. Hearing that name, everyone in the room held their breath. Director Lee gasped, "Is that Zen Jinxian, the 21st god of war of our mansion?" The subordinate nodded. He looked at the big screen with burning eyes. I was creating history for our mansion. At that moment, an old man spoke up. To be honest, I think his raw score is a bit unfair to him. Why would the elder say that? Director Lee asked, and Arthur raised a finger. He pointed to the scoring list in the upper right corner. Haven't you noticed that it's actually just a raw score? His score isn't that different from the second place candidate. Director Lee glanced at the list. He instantly understood what Arthur meant. Director Lee smiled bitterly. It is a bit unfair, but this rule is uniform across the entire country. Even though I participated in drafting the grading amendment back then. But which of us could have imagined that a result as exaggerated as this kid's would appear one day? Arthur said with a smile. It doesn't matter. The strong are always strong. I believe with what he's shown so far, first place in the entire province belongs to him this year. How do you think he obtained this unprecedented result of 0.1 seconds? The spell he just used is a 4th order fire system spell, Flamestorm. The normal chanting time required is 5 seconds, and he still casts it instantly. Arthur's words caused an instant sensation in the audience, waking everyone up. Even though this kid is just a very common mage, the overall strength of a professional cannot be judged solely by the strength of their profession. You also have to consider talent, skills, and even equipment combinations. But the next instant, when they looked back at the center of the big screen, their mouths twitched. I'm already sitting on the ground, happily munching on a large chicken leg with pure delight. Even though the dungeon system indicates the second round is over and the third starts in 1 minute. I don't seem nervous at all. Right now, I'm listening quietly to the rules for the third round. I have to say, this third round finally seems a little interesting. The first 2 rounds tested burst damage against single targets and groups. Does this round test overall output and endurance? I wonder to myself. Since the Goblin Giant's health is infinite, if I want to cause more damage in a limited time, I need to consider the issue of stamina. 10 seconds until the start, and the Goblin Giant spawns. The next instant, a green whirlwind forms. It swirls right above the Goblin Giant's head. The gale forms sharp thorns that look incredibly real. They constantly tear at the Goblin Giant's flesh. A 4th-order wind spell, Storm Cyclone. I chose this spell because it's the one that can create the highest total damage in a single cast during a long battle. Even if it's chip damage, it hits fast and lasts a very long time. Once a Storm Cyclone is summoned, it will persist for a full half-hour before dissipating. For a clumsy monster like the Goblin Giant that just stands there in the center taking hits, it has to eat the full 30 minutes of damage. Using this mechanic, I keep summoning Storm Cyclones. 5, 10, 20. The number of Storm Cyclones engulfing the Goblin Giant is increasing at a terrifying speed. Dozens of Storm Cyclones bombard the Goblin Giant all at once. The frequency of damage caused per second is absolutely frightening. This scene left countless people in the center of the testing ground stunned. However, the ranking system hit a snag at that moment. The issue was that I was originally at the top. Suddenly, the damage amount reset directly to 0 and the rank disappeared. This anomaly was immediately discovered by everyone in the testing center. The next scene left them even more dumbfounded as they watched the center of the big screen. The massive body of the Goblin Giant suddenly collapsed. Report: the exam dungeon has experienced an unprecedented situation. The monster that should have infinite health was killed by him. Leo frowned. What's the situation? Which mechanic has a bug? We're investigating. For a moment, the entire center of the testing grounds was in chaos. All the staff members responsible for maintaining the dungeon were breaking out in a cold sweat. Everyone realized that if this wasn't handled well, it would likely be a major accident. However, the investigation results showed that there was no technical problem at all. Suddenly, everyone was completely baffled. Then Marcus seemed to realize something and exclaimed, "Leo, the monster you created, does it really have infinite health?" Leo shook his head. Of course that's not possible. If it truly had infinite health, it would be genuinely invincible. Even though the health of this Goblin Giant is set to infinite, it has a limit. But it surely has a specific condition to be destroyed. I'm not exactly sure what that condition is. Marcus fell back into a deep silence upon hearing this. Not long after, his eyes lit up. I think I understand. If everything is as he calculated, this kid is going to make history again. So far, no one has broken the record. He's the first person to leave Marcus speechless. How? Have you found the cause? Richard called his subordinates to demand answers. However, the response he received was that everything was normal. As for why I could kill the Goblin Giant with infinite health, they knew nothing. Richard didn't get angry, even at the specific details his subordinates reported. They were able to further confirm his and Marcus's conjecture. What remained was no longer something they could intervene in. Richard continued giving instructions. Report to the capital. Let them handle this. Our exam instance is the one we liked most for the National University entrance exam. Only they have permission to intervene in the most basic structure and logic. At this moment, there are 2.5 minutes left until the end of the third round of testing. Richard and Marcus finally received the news from the General Department of Education in the capital. Report, Deputy Director. We just received the cause of this incident and the handling suggestions from the Central Headquarters Technical Department. The reason why the monster I encountered in this instance, the Goblin Giant, was killed is that it triggered the instant death mechanism it carried with it. This monster has an infinitely high health limit in its underlying structure and a health bar of 1 million hits. Every time it is attacked, its health is reduced by a small amount. After reaching 1 million hits, its actual health bar reaches 0. Naturally, it dies. The colleagues from the technical department in the capital have already requested instructions from their superior. Regarding the handling of this matter, the candidate did not use any abnormal means to complete the test. I simply triggered the monster's instant death mechanism by accident. Therefore, this round of testing must be considered passed, and the score must be the maximum. Furthermore, that superior is very interested in this candidate named Leo and is requesting our department that we send the specific footage of my next round of testing to them. Richard and Marcus had serious expressions on their faces. Afterward, joy appeared once again on their serious faces. In the final minute before the third round of testing ended, my name topped the list again. The first candidate, Leo, currently has infinite total output and has obtained 2,000 points. What the hell? No one expected me to return, bringing with me a level of damage they didn't even deserve to admire. The record has no specific number, only a cold symbol. That symbol means infinity. Attention to all examinees. The fourth round of testing will begin in 30 seconds. Next, the rules for this round will be announced. All examinees step aside, knowing the third round just ended. Right now, almost all students are out of mana. Now, there is no rest between the third and fourth rounds. At this moment, the rules for the fourth round are officially announced. This round of testing will put your comprehensive capabilities to the test. In 20 seconds, a Goblin King will appear in front of you. This monster's attributes are set at 50,000 health points. Its armor value and magic resistance are both 1,000. The monster will not attack, but it will continuously summon its light squad to attack you. The Goblin Light Squad consists of 4 different types of professional monsters: Warrior, Mage, Archer, and Assassin. This exam round has a time limit of 10 minutes. Please ensure that your health does not reach 0 during this period. After killing the Goblin King, points for this round will be distributed based on your remaining health percentage. After hearing the rules, I frowned. This exam round is finally closer to a real combat situation. It's not just testing everyone's explosive output and endurance anymore. It also tests mobility and adaptability. Interesting. Following the system channel's order, an obese, mediocre goblin wearing a crown appeared before all examinees who chose Purgatory difficulty. An incredibly ugly goblin monster. The next moment, over a dozen elite monsters of different shapes appeared next to the Goblin King. At the same time, people in other instances almost immediately raised their hands to give up. Their health at this moment has already dropped until only 1 point remains. And there are dozens of elite monsters from the Goblin Light Squad surrounding them. They are being subjected to inhuman punishment. Right now, the instance's built-in health lock system has become the most terrifying torture, but I am the exception. In the center of the big screen, my instance stands out for its peace and harmony. Because whether it's the Goblin King or those menacing light squads, they have all been turned into one thing after another. Lifelike ice sculptures, frozen in place. 3 skills of fire, wind, and ice. Vengeance. Lydia felt her breathing become a bit rushed. Today, these 4 exam rounds have brought too much commotion and too many surprises. And this kid is still using the 4th tier ice skill, Blizzard. At this moment, after controlling all these monsters, I directly ended their pain. I continuously bombarded them with the 4th tier fire skill, Firestorm. The raging flames and the extremely cold ice collided. Snowflakes fluttered as sparks flew everywhere. Dozens of goblin elites were guarding their king when the second firestorm fell. Only a trace of residual health remained. The third strike killed them instantly. As for the Goblin King, after the 4th firestorm fell, the frozen state disappeared, and his health suddenly dropped by a massive amount. 6th tier ice passive effect, Glacial Cold. After breaking the ice with fire magic, I directly reduced his maximum health. So even if his health points are much higher than his minions, under the firestorm, the ice shattered. The massive damage jump from 4 raging firestorms was devastating. With the maximum health percentage damage, he was left with only a sliver of life. Pure violence. The 4th round begins. Barely 30 seconds had passed when I cleared the 4th round in a crushing display of power. The conference hall in the center fell into a heavy silence. The moment I killed the Goblin King, Leo stood up and led the applause, followed by everyone else. They were involuntarily excited. 4 rounds of perfect scores. A perfect warrior with no blind spots in his senses. He truly deserves to be this year's top student in the province. Leo felt himself trembling slightly because he believed this kid was more than just a one-hit wonder. The highest record in the history of the provincial college entrance exam has just been set. A new precedent. Our province has never seen a super genius like this, and his true strength must be even greater. Even the purgatory difficulty of the 4th round didn't force him to reveal his hidden trump cards. At this moment, in the first exam field of the university, the first academic challenge becomes an endless tribute to his skill. Even so, the professional growth rate of the students remains the primary focus of the academy. In honor of the significant counteractive plan, the 3rd field is led by the top elites like Linda and Marcus, who are already becoming engineering masters at the university. My agreement stands. This time you will see a profile figure that surpasses all others, the greatest of them all. But the test isn't here. Instead, you're going to the Imperial Capital. Rest well at noon. I will personally send you to the Imperial Capital this afternoon for the specific situation of the 5th round. This round of testing must be drawn from a special abyss world. The difficulty and the mechanisms will be explained by someone once you arrive at the Imperial Capital. I'm mainly here today to see you and give you a reward at the same time. I was delighted. A reward? Come here, Leo beckoned. However, after I approached, he pulled out a black scroll and instantly crushed it. In the next moment, I realized the surroundings hadn't changed, but I had arrived in a new underground space. This is the Education Administration's underground treasury. First, give me your virtual professional account. I'll have someone send the payment. The reward for being number 1 in our province is 1 million credits, which is also considered financial aid for your university studies. Additionally, there are 1,000 tradable skill points. This is also a fixed reward. For the 2 remaining rewards, you can find them in the treasury list. Choose 1 T2 series treasure, and choose 1 skill book from your class skill list to claim. Damn, 1,000 negotiable skill points? According to the current standard price on Blue star, this far exceeds the 1,000,000 credits, but these 1,000 skill points are the best thing for me. So I asked, Mr. Leo, can these 1,000 negotiable skill points be exchanged for other rewards? Leo looked at me strangely. He suspected I wanted to get more rare treasures from the vault. So he shook his head. This is a fixed reward. It cannot be replaced with items from the treasury. I also shook my head. I don't want to trade them for treasures, but for cash. Leo was dumbfounded. You don't want skill points, you want money? I must remind you. From a pure value perspective, the money you get for 1,000 negotiable skill points can't actually buy 1,000 skill points back. I nodded and said, I'm sure. I want to make the trade. Leo quickly realized that even though I had taken first place in the province, he had ignored a key point, my background. Leo imagined my life was extremely difficult. He thought I was planning to earn more money to cover household expenses. He sighed. You want to trade for credits? Trading for credits is a loss. You'll lose about 20%. But today, I'll cover that 25% myself. 1,000 negotiable skill points can be exchanged for 5.35 million credits. It'll be sent to your card with the 1,000,000 credit grant.